Welcome to our practice. The hips are an area of tension for a lot of us, and many classes where we're opening hips, we're really focusing on broadening the lower back and lengthening muscle. And in today's class, I want us to focus on the actual structure of the hip, of the femur bone coming into the hip socket. It's been one of my themes for the past few weeks. So those of you who regularly practice with me are going to go, oh no, but this is a light practice. It's really instructive. It's going to stay with you, the knowledge, forever in all movements on and off the mat. And we're going to need 2 straps and a block and a wall. So gathering all of your stuff, hit pause if you need to, and let's come back and meet on the mat with your mat lined up like this, perpendicular to the wall, and 2 straps and a block. Ready to start. We're going to lie down on our backs and find first Supta Padangushasan with 1 strap. And you want to make a loop in your strap about this big, could be bigger, depending, you'll see when you're down there, and coming and lying on our backs in Supta Tadasana. Making sure that we're in the middle of the mat, the inner feet are lined up, the heels are firm, and as we lie down, just move the sacrum towards the heels so the lower back doesn't overarch. Breathing here, feeling the back body, feeling the front body. And now bending the right knee, taking our strap, and with that loop, we're doubling the strap up, placing it on the arch of the foot, and extending the leg. So this is where you see whether your strap needs to be a bit longer, shorter, etc. You now want to be able to hold with your hands the ends of each side of the loop. Okay, normally in this pose, we think of bringing the leg towards us, right? And then we get that muscular opening here. And today, we're going to think of having the leg perpendicular, so moving it away. Firm the legs. Push up through the inner heel and up through the arch of the foot into the strap. Pull the toes down. With your hands, pull so that you're pulling the head of that right femur bone into the hip socket. Feel the thigh firm, wrapping. Keep the left heel firm. Just making that connection a little bit. And then releasing Supta Tadasana. Changing sides. Putting the strap on the arch of the foot, the inner heel, where the 2 meet on the foot, and straightening the leg. And initially we have this tendency, moving back to a more structural approach where the leg is perpendicular to the ground. Spread the toes, push up through the ball of the foot, and with your hands pull and feel that traveling down the length of the leg until you feel how the leg connects into the hip. Firm the muscles of the legs, wrap them around the bones, and pull the head of that femur bone down, deep into the left hip socket. And then releasing, and Supta Tadasana. Okay, rolling over, coming to stand up, we're facing our wall. We're doing the same pose with the foot against the wall. So we would be bending our right knee and putting the strap around our right foot. So we're going to lift our right leg and place the foot on the wall. So first of all, of course, you need to find the right distance for you. And again, we don't want the foot to go high. We want to have it right in line with the hip, as parallel as possible to the floor. This standing leg, we tend to do this because we feel a bit more stable, but you can see that it's diagonalized. So generally, people need to bring their foot a little more forward than they think in order for it to be perpendicular. Strap around the foot. Holding the strap. With the hands, pull. Feel the knee coming down the thigh. Feel the root of the femur bone coming into the hip socket. Don't let the left hip here collapse out. Draw it in, work from the back hips to contain. This front thigh is moving back and the heel is pressing down firmly. Now, roll the front shoulders back, and as you pull with your hands on the strap, see if you could lift the chest. If you could lengthen the front spine. From the pubic bone, through the belly button, through the sternum plate, up to the center of the chest, lengthening that line, broadening by pulling on the hands and lifting up there. And now just releasing the strap on the leg. Urdhva Hastasana, bring the elbows in. And when you're ready, lifting the arms up. Keep pressing down into the heel, drawing the femur bones in. And from there, rising up, stretching. And 2. And 1. Coming back down, whoop, and releasing. Left leg now. So the wall, our distance, lifting the leg up, and place the strap now, and place the foot on the wall. Check that that standing foot, the right foot on the ground, is facing forward, that it hasn't turned out. Holding the strap so you can pull back and lift the chest right from the get-go. Keep the bottom heel firm, and keep the heel on the wall firm. Don't let that right outer hip drop to the side. Draw it in and working from the containment of that back hip. With the hands, pull and feel the head of the left femur bone coming in continually. The legs are firm. And now begin to pull even more actively on the hands, lengthening the collarbones, shoulder blades down the back, and the cellular chest lifting. The front spine lengthening. And then relieving the strap on the shin, Urdhva Hastasana. And when you're ready, lift the arms up. Keep the heads of the femur bones coming in. Keep the heels firm, pressing down in order to lift up, to get taller. Bolt the outer hips together, and 2, and 1. Coming back down, and releasing. Okay, we're now going to come down to the mat again for a lateral Supta Parangusthasana. I'm just going to show you what we're going to do with the brick, because the right leg comes first and it will be hidden from you. So we'll be in Supta Tadasana, lying down. We're going to go to the right first. This is my right side. The brick wants to be right in, not a little gap, but right in, so that as we bring the leg down, the hip can't move. Okay, so feet to the wall. Supta Tadasana. Bring that block right in to the side of the hip, containing the hip there. Bending the right knee, and placing our strap on. Here we are, keeping the leg perpendicular. Femur bones coming in. Placing the strap in the right hand and drawing the leg towards you and to the right, towards you and to the right, but moving slowly so that the whole journey of movement, we're watching the femur bones, not letting them come out, we're drawing them in, drawing them in, drawing them in. And feel how the block is not only supporting the leg, but it's helping the hip to not move to the right with the right leg coming down. Watching those actions, those mini movements within the movement. Keep firming the legs and reconnecting with the heads of the femur bones. And then bring the leg back up and Supta Tadasana. You can move the brick away. Just feel, let the body absorb, integrate. And now bring the block to the left side. So right in nice and close. Having the strap handy, let's bend the left knee and place the strap on the foot. What do I have here? There we go. Make those connections, make the roots of the legs compact. Directionalize the actions there. And now the left hand holds the strap. Bringing the leg towards us and to the side, towards us and to the side. The block should be right in so that the hip is not moving. It's staying stable as the leg opens. Different action. As we move, keep drawing the heads of the femur bones into the hip sockets. Observing, playing, experiencing those micro actions until they become more and more clear. Keep that right heel firm and the front thighs moving to the front thigh bones, flattening to them. And then bring the leg back up and releasing. Okay, time to move this block and to take 2 straps. So one strap is going to go around the front groin of the lifting leg, which is going to be our right leg. And the other side of that, the loop of this strap, is going to be on the arch of the left foot against the wall. So you want a nice big loop. And then you go ahead and put that over the right groin right here. Lift the left leg up, put the left foot, the arch of the foot against the strap on the inside of the knee, not the outside. And then straightening that leg. Now, if the leg is straight really easily, we can easily bring this bent leg towards us, which we don't want. We want the strap to be so tight that this leg is forced to stay perpendicular. So the head of the femur bone is really being pulled into the hip socket. So let's bend this left knee and tighten our strap up. So that when we now try to straighten, you can really feel the action right there at the root of the thigh, stopping the leg from coming forward. Then go ahead and hold the back of the thigh just underneath the knee here. And press the back of the thigh, the area that you're touching with your hand, towards the hands. And pull the knee towards the femur bone head and draw the head of the femur bone into the hip socket. So there's compactness, there's alertness in there. So let's try that again. Keep the left heel firm, the left leg pressing. Now your hands, where they're feeling the thigh, push the leg towards the hands. So the thigh is coming and pushing into the hands. The hands are pulling back to open the chest. And now draw the head of the knee down the length of the leg to the head of the femur bone. And draw the head of the femur bone into the hip socket. Okay, keeping all of that intact, slowly straightening the leg. Really slowly straightening. And as you straighten, keep your mind on the head of the femur bone, that action of it coming in, coming in, coming in. Draw it in, be active in that. And bend it again. And as you bend it, push the thigh into the hands. And with the hands, pull to open the chest. Draw the head of the femur bone into the hip socket again. And one more time, straightening the leg, keeping your intelligence really active on where the thigh comes into the hips and how it comes into the hips. Keep pushing with the left foot. And then bending the knee. And releasing. And changing sides. So, the sole of the right foot is going to take the strap, the excess, and the rest comes around the root, the groin of the left leg. Now don't assume that it's going to be the same, the right loop for the side. It can be different. So definitely check that when you try to straighten the leg. See, I could definitely go a little shorter on this side. As I was saying, check that as you try to straighten the leg, there's a lot of resistance so that this thigh can't come forward. And here I can really feel it blocking. So it doesn't matter that the leg's not straight. What matters is that you have that push that's keeping the strap active, pulling here. So feeling this perpendicularity, go ahead and hold onto the back of the knee, the back of the thigh, and begin to find those actions. So we're pushing the back of the thigh into the hands. We're pulling the head of the knee down the length of the leg into the head of the femur bone. And we're drawing the head of the femur bone into the hip socket. And let's do those actions one more time. So our hands are holding the backs of the legs. We're pushing the back of the leg into the hands. And then we're pulling the head of the knee down the length of the thigh to the head of the femur bone. And then we're pulling the head of the femur bone down. Chest open. And from here now, extending the leg. And as we extend, keep the root of the femur bone coming in, down, into the hip sockets continually. Keep pushing with that right foot. Drawing the head of the femur bone down into the hip sockets. And then slowly bending the knee, re-engaging those actions, watching the movement from A to B, and filling it with those micro movements. Push the back of the thigh to the hands, pull the hands, open the chest, and draw the head of the femur bone into the hip socket. And begin to straighten that leg. Keeping all of those actions in place, straightening. And then bending the knee, action still in place, mindful movement. And releasing. Just take a breath here. Let the hips rest. Make sure the lower back is on the ground. Okay, same thing with lateral Supta Padangusthasana. So the loop is going to go on the front right groin and the sole of the left foot. Check the distance so you still have that same pressure where you can't bring the femur bone towards you. It stays perpendicular. Take hold of the block and bring it in and squeeze it into that right hip. Keep pushing with that left foot, the heel firm. So we refind this very easily. Now we're coming to the lateral version. So we're moving and rolling our inner thigh to the outer thigh. And one hand is holding here behind the knee. And the brick should be holding the hip steady so the hip is not dropping down to the right. Squeeze that outer right hip in and up. Keep rolling the inner groin to the outer groin. Rolling, rolling. And now feeling the femur bones coming into the hips and lifting the chest from there. And now we're going to extend that leg, but as we extend, we want to keep our attention on the root of the thigh, drawing in as we extend. So don't think about the foot, think about the root of the thigh. Squeeze the outer hip up and in. And then bending the knee back, femurs coming into the hip sockets. Nice slow movements, trying to access those subtle areas. Keep the left heel firm, pushing. Regrip the right outer hip. And here we go, extending the leg, but not thinking of the foot, thinking of the root of the femur bone. As we extend the leg, being in the root of the femur bone, extending, drawing in. Suck the outer hip up. And then slowly bending the knee, the femur bone still coming in. The outer hip being sucked up. And bringing the leg back up and releasing. So changing sides. I'm hoping that you can feel that kind of joint work, that penetration, and that you'll let me know how this was for you. So this time, the sole of the right foot is on the strap, and the loop is in the left groin, and we're checking the distance. That works well. And now the block on the left-hand side. Right into the hip, wedged in, so that in no way the hip can fall out to the side. Okay, coming back to our starting position, which we now know. And test if you can bring your femur bone closer, which actually I can. You need to tighten your strap up a little bit. Otherwise, it doesn't work. There we go. Now I can't. Perfect. Okay, we're bringing the leg to the side, so the hand goes behind the knee. The inner groin is rolling out. The head of the femur bone is coming into the hip socket. And we're sucking the outer left hip in, bolting that outer left hip in and up. The back of the thigh is pushing towards the hands. The hands are pulling back and the chest is opening. Okay, having felt all of this, connected with all of this, we're going to extend the leg, remembering not to think about the foot. As we extend the leg, bring the knee to the hip and the femur bone into the hip. Keep pushing with that right foot on the strap. Slowly extending, feeling. Trying to deepen that connection, that understanding. That's it. Redraw the femur bone heads in. And now we're going to bend the knee, keeping the action of the femur bone bones coming into the hips. Move the thigh towards the hand. The hand pulls to open the chest. Keep rolling the inner groin to the outer groin. Last time, ready? Reconnecting with the actions. The thigh, back thigh pushing towards the hand pulling. The inner groin rolling open. Femur bone heads coming into the hip sockets as we extend the leg, but not thinking of the foot. Keeping our attention on the hips, on the femur bones. Feel how the block is really helping us to stay centralized. Help the block by sucking the outer left hip in with it. That's it. And again, heads of the femur bones coming in. And then slowly starting to bend the knee, coming in without losing those actions, right until the end. Keep them in place, keep observing them, re-engaging them. And then bring the leg back up and releasing. So just feeling that work there, taking a moment. Should be feeling things all around. Just let that settle. Relax the abdomen. Relax the lower back. Okay, and now rolling over, coming up, taking this block, Virabhadrasana 2 with the block between our front knee and the wall, so that we can accentuate the sensation of the knee moving down the thigh to the hip, and the femur bone head coming into the hip socket. So right leg first, coming in, placing the block, checking this is what it's going to be like, okay? And then moving the foot back enough so that we are really, as much as our body will allow, making a right angle here. So we're making a tabletop with our thigh. You can put your hands on the wall to help hold you. This backhand, turning. Push into the outside edge of that foot, underneath your thumbs here on the hips. Feel the hips working. The buttocks going down. You can use your hands to really pull the buttocks down. And feel the resistance that the block gives as we bend from the hips. We draw the knee back and we further penetrate with the heads of those femur bones. And now just twist the trunk to the back leg. That's it, holding there, feeling all those things. And 3, and 2, and 1. Okay, coming up. And as we straighten the leg, femur bones into the hips. Changing sides. Left leg, placing the block, and then widening that back foot out enough that you can really get down agonizingly low, making a table with this front thigh as much as possible. Push into the outside edge of that back foot. Back hand on the hips. Feel under your thumbs here. Are the hips working or just passive? How could you get them to work, to be felt? That's it, wrapping. Strength. Keep that front heel firm, pressing down. And draw the kneecap down the thigh now. Let the block help you get that experience of it moving down, so that the head of this femur bone is coming into the hip socket continually, and buttocks down. Use your hands to push both buttocks down. And now turn the trunk to the back leg. And 3, and 2, and 1. Coming back out. And releasing. Okay, things may start to click and pop a little bit as they open. Let's come down and lie on our mat again. We don't need any equipment for this one. And we're just going to release the things that we've just worked and contracted. So the right leg comes up and the outer ankle goes on top like this. Now don't let this right leg do that. You see where this hip is coming up and the right hip has left itself. It's just disappeared into the floor. You just want to roll open from the inner thigh to here, keeping both hips steady. Now we're going to bring our hands behind the left knee, drawing the leg closer. The elbow is bending to the side. And if we can, we're going to put this right elbow against the right inner knee to help it move back. Breathing, feeling, observing. The femur bones still coming into the hip sockets. And now the right hand is going to go underneath the calf, nice and straight, the inner elbow pressing out right behind the knee there. And then we're going to do the same with the left, but we're keeping that arm by the ankle. So we're not letting the elbows or the arms come close to each other. Femur bones coming into the hip sockets. And then bending the elbows. And drawing that shin closer in a nice, even action. And now we're going to remove the right arm, the hand behind the knee. We keep everything else exactly the same. And then extend the right arm back behind. Wind it around underneath, behind the back of your skull, and hold on to the left hand. Smooth, even breath. What's happening to the femur bones? And now we're going to extend that left leg. Head of the femur bone coming in as we extend. Keep the leg perpendicular to the ground. And then we're lowering the leg slowly, observing the movement. As the leg is lowered, the thigh is rolling in. The head of the femur bone is still being drawn in. And then the heel presses to the ground. And exhale. And let go. Supta Tadasana. Line the feet up. Be in the middle of the mat. And now bend the knees. Spread the feet hip distance apart. And bring the outer left ankle onto the top. Remembering not to allow this action, this overdropping action. We just want this part of the thigh to be rolling open, the groin. We're not disconnecting from the hip socket. Okay, and now we're reaching and we're taking hold of the back of that knee, the right leg. And as the leg gets closer and the elbows broaden, let that left elbow stop the inner right leg the right knee from coming closer. Push it back so that it doesn't drop. And now let's bring our arms through. So the left arm underneath, straight, the inner elbow facing up, between the back of the calf, the back of the thigh, the back of the knee. And then the right arm coming through, keeping it towards the ankle side. Reconnect with the femur bones. And then bending the elbows. And with evenness between the right and left forearms, press that left shin down towards us. Heads of the femur bones, keep that integrity, that connection there. And now we're going to remove the left arm and stretch the arm back and wind the arm around behind the skull and hold onto the right hand. Soft, smooth inhalations and exhalations. And now let's extend that right leg so that it's perpendicular to the ground. And as we extend, not thinking about the foot, but going right to the femur bone and the hip. Being with those micro actions there so that they become crystal clear. You feel the direction, the contraction, the intention. And then slowly, with control, lowering that right leg. And as we lower it, rolling the right thigh slightly in, contracting the muscles around the bones and drawing the femur bone heads into the hip sockets until the heel comes down onto the ground. Press the left heel down. Press the front of that right thigh down. Femur bones in. And releasing the hands, releasing the legs, and being in Supta Tadasana. Soft, smooth inhalation, soft, smooth exhalation. And now rolling over to the right hand side, pushing ourselves back up. And it is now time to take our Shavasana. So I have two Shavasana options for you. One would be to take a blanket, put it here, and just come in sideways and lie down with your feet up the wall, nice and comfortably. If the backs of the legs are tight and being too close hurts them, move away so that your legs can relax. So a Shavasana Viparita Karani. And the other option requires a bolster and 2 blocks, bearing in mind that you can make a bolster by rolling blankets up into a bolster shape. So we're taking the bolster or the rolled up blankets or the pillows or whatever you're using, 2 blocks right here. And we're coming to sit on the block with the bolster behind us. When we lie down, the bolster is going to be against our kidneys, and the sacrum is on the blocks. And then we're coming down. If you find that it's too much here, that your shoulders don't reach the floor, of course, take a blanket and just slide it under the whole area from the bolster to above the head. So you're making the floor a little bit higher in that area. And then your arms can either be extended like this or like this. Now just widen the feet apart, turn the toes slightly in, the heels out, and rest the inner knees against each other. So we're doing a Shavasanic Setubandha Sarvangasana. And then very gently, the eyelids closing, the face quietening, the shoulders melting back into the ground. The hands softening. Everything is releasing and letting go. And then gently we're going to move ourselves backwards. Loka samastaha sukhinho bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And when you feel ready, the eyelids are opening back up, rolling over to the side, pushing ourselves back up, back here. Welcome back. Our practice is complete. I hope we practice again together soon. Namaste.